Allah is my heart's speech. Your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest. Permit me to pass.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to this new episode of Ask Huda, where I'll try seeking Allah's grace and support to answer whatever I know from your questions. So kindly, if you have a question, go ahead and call the numbers you will find on the bottom of the screen. I'll try my level best to answer them. Nowadays, we have a problem, and this problem has been going on since Allah knows when. This problem is that the majority of Muslims have a dilemma whether to focus on quality or quantity. And this dilemma was solved long time ago. And Allah Azza wa Jal has showed us the way. And whenever there is quality, this comes first, then quantity comes afterwards. In the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, in so many verses, told us that the quantity is not a determining factor. For example, Allah says in the Quran that the majority of the people do not know. The majority of the people do not believe. The majority of the people do not thank Allah Azza wa Jal. So this shows us that the majority is not a criteria to judge things. Not only that, Allah says in the Quran, وَمَا أَكْثَرُ النَّاسِ وَلَوْ حَرَصْتَ بِمُؤْمِنِينَ, that even if you try your level best, Muhammad, peace be upon you, the majority of the people will not believe. So from this we understand that the quantity is not always something positive. On the contrary, the Prophet ﷺ used to supplicate, and he used to tell us that even if you see usury, or what is known as interest money, we call it riba in Arabic, even if you see it to be coming a lot, and you might be deceived to think that this is something good, the Prophet tells us that eventually it will turn into something that is minimal and something that is in great loss. Without doubt, it is a huge loss on the Day of Judgment, because those who do deal in bank interest or interest over loan definitely will be among the losers on the Day of Judgment. Quantity is not always a determining factor. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, 1 dirham overtook 100,000 dirham. And the companions were astonished. How is that possible? The Prophet told us that a man who had only 2 dirhams spent one in the cause of Allah and kept one. So technically, the man gave away half of his wealth. While the other one who gave 100,000 dirhams, actually, he had millions and billions. So he took 100,000 and he spent it in the cause of Allah, knowing that this 100,000 does not consist a small portion from his wealth. Therefore, we have to focus greatly on quality rather than quantity. And inshallah, if we have time, we will elaborate a little bit more. Abu Muhammad from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Good evening to you.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for what you are doing. We are very grateful.
Ameen. Jazakallah khair, ya akhi. What can I do for you?
Yes, I want an explanation on a certain hadith in which the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said to a companion that was enjoined to go and collect the car from other people. When he came with it, he now said, this is a car and this was given to me.
Okay.
So regarding this hadith, I used to supply, goods to some organizations, and then after supplying the goods and after being paid for my services, sometimes I give these staff, some of these people that work in the organization, I give them some gifts and money and this and that. So one ustad told me that this is not good, and it is similar to this habit. So I'm confused, Yashe. At what level am I supposed to, can I give gifts to these people that help me in, processing my supplies and other things?
I will answer your question, inshallah. Sister Ilham from Morocco. Okay, I hope that she calls back again. Abu Muhammad was asking about the hadith of what is known among the scholars of Ibn al-Lutbiyah. He's a companion. His name is known as Ibn al-Lutbiyah. The Prophet ﷺ used him to go and collect the zakat. And we know that the zakat is divided into two sections or two types. Something that is hidden and something that everyone can see. So the hidden one, the hidden part of the zakat, you are instructed to pay it on your own. And this is between you and Allah, such as gold, silver, money. This is, no one will come and collect it from you. While if you have a farm and you have crops, or you have cattle, if you have herds of sheep, camels, cows, etc., then it is the obligation of the ruler, the Muslim ruler, to send someone to evaluate and to collect the zakat. So Ibn al-Lutbiyah was sent by the Prophet ﷺ to collect the zakat. He came after a while and he said, this portion is yours. This is the zakat. And this small portion is mine. I was given it by the people I visited. The Prophet ﷺ was outraged. So he went to the pulpit, he praised Allah, he offered salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, and then he gave a general speech, a general reminder without naming this man. And he said, why do I get people to work and bring the zakat, and when they come, they say, this is your zakat, but this was given to me, this is mine. The Prophet then gave the justification that you can determine whether what you're giving is a bribe or not. The Prophet said, ﷺ, wouldn't he had sit in his mother's house and then figure out, would people come and give him something or not? So this is the way that you can judge. The brother Abu Muhammad is telling us that he is supporting, he is providing, he is probably supplying some companies with electricity, with machinery, with tools, spare parts, stationery, whatever. And definitely in that company there are purchasing department. There are people who are responsible for giving the bids to whomever they think is fit for the company. And in the majority of purchasing departments, you have a problem with these departments because they take a lot of the bribes. I'll get back inshallah to Abu Muhammad's question. Dina from the Emirates.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
I have two questions.
Okay.
One is my brother who is in Canada.
Okay.
He's suffering for last 1 month. He's hospitalized.
Okay.
So I just want to know from our side, what can we do?
Okay.
Because my mother said better to do a umrah. So I have never heard like for a sick person doing umrah, it's better to do sadaqah and prayers and reciting and du'as, which whatever we can do. That is what I have heard.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the umrah thing.
Second question.
I want to know that. And the other things, when I am not able to pray, when I am not clean, can I listen to the Quran recitation on MP3, or can I touch the dua books and recite?
Okay.
Those things I want to know.
I will answer your question, inshallah. Brother Khalid from the Emirates as well.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
My question is basically it's regarding me. I had embraced Islam 3.5 months back.
MashaAllah.
Sorry, 3 years back I had embraced Islam.
Okay.
And I'm still in a dilemma that I'm not able to convince my dad and mom. And I wanted, like, what could be a process so that I'd actually help them out, because they are in such a, basically they are Hindus. I was Hindu prior to embracing Islam.
Okay.
So I just wanted, like, because I'm traveling to India in a couple of days, like next 15 days.
Okay.
And just wanted, like, what would be, because it's very difficult. I tried convincing them 2 times, 3 times.
Any more questions?
But they are like, they are not even understanding how to go ahead with it.
I will answer you, inshallah. Any more questions?
Yeah, one more question is, there's one more question. It's regarding, like, one of my friends who is basically, he's a Muslim, but he's away from the track. So we are just trying to help him out how to go ahead. But can you suggest us some ways where we can help him out so that he is back to the normal track of life, of an Islamic life?
Okay, I will answer your question, inshallah.
Okay.
Abu Muhammad's question was regarding the bribe. So, basically speaking, when you give these gifts, this money to the employees, let's look at another scenario. If this individual, you're giving him the gift or the money, if he was in his house and not working for that company, would you have given him anything? The answer is definitely not. No one would give him anything because no one knows him. No one wants anything from him. So, basically speaking, what you're doing is a bribe. When you go to the purchasing department general manager and you give him an expensive watch or an expensive pen or a ticket to Sharm el-Sheikh or a laptop or a phone, a mobile phone, you're not giving it to him because he has black eyes or blue eyes. You're giving it to him because of his position. And that is why you're giving it to this particular department's head rather than giving it to the HR GM, for example. Nobody gives the HR GM anything because they don't want anything from him until they want a job. Therefore, this is the way you can judge whether it's a bribe or not. Scholars say there is an exception. For example, if you and I went to school together and we are friends and you used to give me gifts and I give you gifts, and then I went to college and then I graduated and became a judge or became an official in a company, and the gifts were continuing. So when I give you a gift, I'm not actually giving it to you because of your position or because you are influential. I'm giving it to you because this is the habit that has been going on for years before you have assumed that position. In this case, scholars say, as long as when I receive this gift, I'm not going to feel inclined to help him or to bend some rules or pull some strings. If this is the case, it is permissible for me to take that gift. And I hope this answers your question. Okay, we have Brother Muhammad from Saudi Arabia. Salamatullah.
Sheikh, what is the ruling on letting small children, like less than 1 year or 2 years, to be on the ground between Maghrib and Isha? Is there any prohibitions on this? Or
what do you mean by on the ground?
Like letting them walk on the floor or something like that.
Okay. Okay, I'll answer the question. Any more question?
Yes, one more question.
Okay.
Buying, for example, an apartment through the bank, for example, okay, the actual apartment price is, let's say, 200,000.
Okay.
And the bank buys it for you, and you pay in installment basis, like for 15, spread over 15 months, 15 years.
Okay. And
at the end of the 15 years, you might have paid around 250 or 300,000. Is this the extra amount? Is it riba or?
Are you paying the bank to own this flat, or are you paying him only rent money?
It is like at the end of the 15-year period, the rent will be mine.
Okay.
Sorry, the flat will be mine.
Lease to own, that is. Okay, I will answer the question, inshallah. Khadija from Nigeria.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam. Listen to me from the phone and turn down your TV, please.
Yes, my TV is mute already.
Okay.
It is. Yes, I just wanted to ask you a question.
Okay.
I wanted to know whether it's permissible for a Muslim woman to use another woman's egg in terms of fertility or fertilization. That is where she cannot have a child, and the doctors are prepared to allow her to use medical means for her to have a child. Could she use another woman's egg? Is it permissible in Islam, please?
I will answer your question, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
You're quite welcome. Brother, or Sister Dina, she's upset because she has a brother who's been bedridden for the past month. And her mother is telling her to go and make Umrah for him. So she's asking, is this permissible? And the answer is no. This is not permissible to perform Umrah on behalf of someone who's living and in such conditions. What is recommended is that you supplicate a lot for him. If you can do ruqyah, if you're present there, those who are in Canada next to him, they should offer him ruqyah, reciting the Fatiha, the last 2 verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, Ayat Al-Kursi, the last 3 chapters of the Quran, the 3 quls, and blow on him and do the supplications that we all know. And of course, giving a lot of charity. Last week, I was with a cousin of mine. His father is over 85 years of age. He has so many illnesses and unable to hear. And subhanallah, he has authority over his money legally. So he took a portion and he gave it for sadaqah. And subhanallah, immediately for a whole week, the father was alert. He was asking questions as if he had no problem with his memory, with his recognizing people, with his hearing. And his mother was astonished as well. And she said, can this be only from sadaqah? Sadaqah does wonders. And at the moment, our brothers and sisters in Syria are in great need, not only for your sadaqah, for your zakat, for all kind of financial help and support you can give them, so that they can get rid of that tyrant they're having, who is causing corruption in the world. So if you have money, if you have a sick person, give to the people, to our people in Syria, money so that they can defend themselves and their honor and their lives and their religion. And inshallah, you will find the traces of that clear. She's asking about a woman in her menses. Can she listen to the Quran through MP3? She can listen to the Quran. She can recite the Quran herself. She can hold a telephone or a PDA and read the Quran from it physically. There's no problem that she can hold a book that contains the Quran and the interpretation, the commentary, like the books of tafsir. And she can read the Quran from there without any problem. As for the books of adhkar, definitely she can read and touch them without any problem at all. Brother Khalid from the UAE, he is saying that he embraced Islam 3.5 years ago, alhamdulillah azza wa jal, and he is finding difficulty persuading his parents to accept Islam. This is normal, akhi. They've spent their 60 or 70 years on believing in something. Satan is not going to leave them without a fight. You cannot just simply come and say, listen, Islam is so and so, accept Islam. They will not do this because it would take time and effort, and before all of that, it needs and requires Allah's support for you. Therefore, the best thing for you to do is to continue to show them what Islam changed in you. So 3.5 years ago, you were Kumar, for example. Now you are Khalid. What's the difference in their point of view? Kumar did not respect them, probably did not pay any attention to his self-hygiene, could have lied, he could have cheated, he could have abused them. Khalid, on the contrary, they should sense and feel that. He is much calm, he's much down to earth, he loves us a lot, he obeys us, he respects us. Even we differ with him in his religion, he would never look down at us. He tries and goes out of his way to please us whenever he can, and he never says a lie, he never cheats, and he's always clean and always smelling perfume and nice, alhamdulillah. If this is the case, inshallah, eventually, by continuing to dialogue with them with a big, big, big smile, no matter what they say or do to you, inshallah, they will soon accept Islam and follow you. Abdurrahman from Riyadh. Abdurrahman.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Okay. Rajab, Shaban, Ramadan and Zulhijjah are supposed are sacred months in Islam. So do we need to fast?
No, they're not. They're not.
Of Rajab?
They're not. Rajab is a sacred month. Shaban,
yeah,
Ramadan.
One more question. So, considering these nights to be one of these nights to be auspicious and holy, in line with the Laylatul Qadr, do we need to fast, or do we need to observe it as a month of, night of prayer and worship?
Okay, I will ask you
one more question is, since black hair dye is prohibited, so but what if there is premature graying of one's hair? Like suppose one is 20s or 30s, he or she. So in that case, are we permitted to dye our hair in black regarding matrimonial issue or something like that? If there is like,
I will answer your question, inshallah. Brother Saeed from Nigeria. Okay, I hope he calls again. Going back to second question of Brother Khalid, he is saying that they have a friend of theirs who's originally Muslim, but he has lost track and he is sinful, and they want to get him back to track. And this is extremely strange. All Muslims should feel ashamed of themselves. This brother is a 3.5-year revert, and he is giving da'wah to born Muslims to let them come back to Islam. Aren't you ashamed of yourself? And I envy Brother Khalid, to tell you the truth. All of the previous years before accepting Islam are all gone. He started a full new record. So to look at his sins, he's been only sinning, and I pray to Allah he's not sinning, for the past 3.5 years. And that's little compared to someone who's been like sinning for 30 or 40 or 50 years. So I advise Brother Khalid to keep on doing his good job. Now, how to get the brother back to track? Again, by constantly reminding him of what Allah says in the Quran and what the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ is. By constantly giving him a good example, a role model. So when he sees you as a revert, praying all the time, 5 times in the first row in the masjid, and whenever it's time for prayer, with a big smile, come my friend, let's go and pray. He rejects once, twice, 10, 20, 100 times. Eventually he will come and pray with you, inshallah. When he sees you fasting Mondays and Thursdays. But at the same time, when he sees you doing things that are not related to Islam, but you're perfecting it. When he sees that you're a good cricket player, or you love to work in the gym, or you're excellent in your work or in your studies, then he would feel that he's losing it both ways, in this life and the hereafter, and maybe this would be his wake-up call. Brother Muhammad from Saudi Arabia, he's asking about an issue which is placing and putting the infants or the children on the floor between Maghrib and Isha. And this is completely permissible, though. You're not going to carry them for a duration of an hour and a half. There's nothing in Islam that relates to this. Though I think that he's confused with another hadith, where the Prophet tells us, ﷺ, when it is the time between Maghrib and Isha, you should stop, you should refrain your children from going outside the house. So if they're inside the house, if they're within the vicinity of the house, in the rooms playing, there's no problem. And the Prophet justifies this, ﷺ, by saying, because outside, the devils spread when it is the time between Maghrib, sunset, and Isha time. They spread and they kidnap children, whether they kidnap them physically or mentally by possessing them. This is something that can happen both ways. May Allah protect all of our children. So you can keep your children down and put them on the ground, let them play as much as they wish. He's asking about buying an apartment from a bank. And the bank, this happens everywhere. Now, he's talking about paying installments for 15 years, and then either paying a down payment or a final payment, and then claiming and possessing this flat. So he's asking, is this permissible? First of all, to get into a halal transaction, first of all, the bank or the financial institution should acquire and own this apartment before any commitment. So I go to the bank and I say, listen, I'd like to buy this 5-room apartment. And they say how much it costs, and they go investigate. They find that it is XYZ euros, for example. And they go and acquire it and buy it. And then they call me and they say, look, these are the paperwork. Now it is in our names. We own the actual apartment. We will sell it to you for an interest extra to the original price of 15%, 20%, 50%. There's no problem, because you can simply say, no, that's a lot. I changed my mind. I'm not buying. Assalamu alaikum. This can happen. And the bank has no right to say, listen, we bought it for you. So you cannot sign any paper before the company actually acquires the apartment. And you can and must not pay anything as a down payment for seriousness, for example, before they own the apartment. What happens is the following. Some banks, when you go, they give you a full list and form, you fill it up, you pledge and you guarantee that you're going to buy this flat from them. And in some cases, they may make you sign over checks for God knows how many months or years. This is haram. This is not permissible. The second possibility is that when you go and show your interest in buying this car, this vehicle, or that apartment, they tell you, okay, give us a 10,000 euro down payment. And again, this is haram, because they did not own the merchandise, the product that you want to buy. And this goes against the hadith of Hakim ibn Hizam, may Allah be pleased with him, when he said that the Prophet told me, do not sell what you do not own. So if I do not own it, then I cannot sell it. If the bank goes and says, listen, Khalid or Muhammad, I have the apartment, these are the credentials, these are the paperwork, it's in my name. Now, let's make a transaction. You make a transaction with the bank that you pay over the duration of 15 years to buy and not to lease. To buy this apartment from them, and you pay a monthly fixed rate of so-and-so. So the end value of the apartment, let's say it's 1 million, khalas, this is what we agree and sign upon, done. Whether I pay it in a month, I pay it in a year, 10 years, or the full 15 years, or even if I postpone payments and I pay it over the duration of 30 years. The price does not change. They have no right to say, oh, 15 years was the deal, so now because it's 17 years, we'll charge you 5% over the original price. No, this is riba. Once you sign the contract with the bank, the final amount has to be fixed, and it cannot be changed by increasing. It can change by decreasing. If instead of paying it over 15 years, you pay it over 10 years, the bank gives you a bonus and says, listen, 10% off as a gift. This is okay. But I hope this, inshallah, makes the question. Okay, Sister Nada from Saudi Arabia. Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I wanted to ask you a question related to the last will. How to calculate 1/3 of our, wealth, like it's said in the hadith. Plus, should I show my will to anyone, like my parents or my brother or anyone else? And do I need witnesses? And if yes, then who should be the witnesses and how many? Okay. Also, like for example, if the parents had this life insurance thing, like or some other insurance, like when I was smaller, something if they joined it. So can I ask them to destroy the whole money or something like that?
Okay.
Or what should be done about this?
So it has matured, and they have given you the money, and you're asking what to do with the money?
No, I don't have the money right now. But I'm not even sure exactly what's with the money. But can I write in my will that this money should be like destroyed or something like that?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Jazakallah khair.
Wazaki. Muhammad from Alaykum Salam. Muhammad from Egypt. Muhammad from Egypt.
Assalamu alaikum, ya Ustaz.
Wa alaykum salam, Ustaz Kareem. Yes, bro.
Yeah, Ustaz, I have 5 questions, inshallah.
Okay.
Okay, the first question is...
Listen to me from the phone, huh? Turn down the volume of the... Mute your TV and listen to the phone, please.
Okay, hello?
Yes, I'm with you. First question.
Yeah, the first question is concerning the Shafi and Witr prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about it? Hello? I think we've lost Muhammad. Okay, going back to Khadija from Nigeria. She's asking about the ruling on using another woman's egg to be fertilized with so that she can bear children. So is this permissible? The consensus of scholars say that this is completely not permissible. This issue of bearing children, having children, cannot be, the majority of scholars agree that it is permissible, though there is a portion of scholars that say that the whole process is forbidden. Those who say that it's permissible, they insist that the egg is from the wife and the sperm is from the husband. You cannot get someone's else sperm or someone's else egg and then have it fertilized. Or they have a medical terminology. I keep on forgetting it because it's in English. So this is not permissible at all. And one would say, okay, then what would this poor woman do if Allah does not grant her children? Well, she has to be patient. Like the one who Allah did not grant her a husband to start with. So she should be grateful that Allah has granted her a husband and a caring husband as well. But this is Allah's will not to grant her a child at this time. So she should be accepting Allah's decree. Abdurrahman from Riyadh, she's asking a number of quick questions. I could barely pick the first one. She's asking about Rajab, Sha'ban, Ramadan, and she said that these are sacred months and that this is not correct. The sacred months in Islam are 4. 3 in a row and 1 isolated one. The isolated one is Rajab. This one is on its own. This is a sacred month in which we are in. And then there is Dhul Qa'dah, Dhul Hijjah, and Muharram. The last 2 months of the calendar year and the first month of the calendar year. These are the sacred months that were mentioned in chapter 9, Surah At-Tawbah. Now she's saying, is it permissible, because Rajab is a sacred month, to fast the 14th or the 17th or the 27th because this is the night of the decree, or the night of the, not the decree, the night of the night journey, the miraculous journey where the Prophet ﷺ was ascended to the 7th heaven. So is it permissible? The answer is no, this is an innovation. Why? It's a sacred month, it's true. But we don't have anything to support fasting it. The Prophet did not recommend this, alayhi salatu wasalam. He did not recommend any special prayers. One would say, then how is it sacred? Well, it is sacred as Allah said in the Quran when He mentioned these sacred months. He said, do not wrong yourselves. Do not commit any act of aggression where you would wrong yourself by. So, honoring these months takes place by refraining from doing things that are sinful and by doing what Allah Azza wa Jal has instructed us to do, such as prayers, connecting to our next of kin, obeying our parents, being kind, not lying, not cheating, etc. And likewise, Umar from Nigeria and Muhammad. Okay, okay, Umar is gone. So Muhammad from Egypt. Shaf' al-Watr. What about it?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yeah, Ustaz, I said the Shafi and Watr prayer.
What's about them?
Are you supposed to recite the Quran yani, aloud or silently?
Okay.
That's my first question. Then the second question is, for example, the Maghrib and Isha prayer.
Mm-hmm.
When, for example, you've gotten you've only got one rak'ah, that's the last rak'ah that in a jami, when you only get the last rak'ah, the remaining two rak'ahs, are you supposed to read the surahs aloud or silently?
Are you alone or with someone else?
After praying a jami, maybe you, after going into the mosque and then you only got one prayer, one rak'ah.
Okay.
And my third question is, after following a jami, after following a jami, if someone else comes into the mosque, is he allowed to follow you to do another jami? That means you've done two jamis. You followed one and you're leading one.
Okay. Any more questions?
And yeah, my last question is, there's this man in the masjid. Each time, I bring my leg close to his during the saw, he pulls back his leg, and I've tried that several times. So am I supposed to talk to the person, or I should just leave him?
This is while in the standing position, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. I'll answer your question, inshallah. Okay. Second question for Abdurrahman from Riyadh. She's asking about dyeing the hair in black. And I couldn't understand her question because, mashallah, she was doing 160 miles per hour. But if I understand her correctly, she's asking about a person who is young, like 20, 25 years of age, and all of a sudden his hair goes white, whether he was frightened or for some genetic reasons. And the poor guy, instead of being 20 or 25 years of age, he looks like as if he's 50. So in this case, is it permissible to dye his hair in black? And the answer is yes. Why? Because this is removing an abnormality. In Islam, if someone my age comes and says, listen, I have some white hair and I'd like to dye it in black because I'm interested in getting married again, this would not be permissible. Why? Because this is the natural color of the hair at this stage of age. If someone comes to me and he's like 35 or 34 years of age and he wants to dye his hair in black because he said that I'm still young, the answer is no. Someone who's like 17, 20, maybe 25, yes, this is an abnormality and you are entitled to dye your hair in black. If you are able to dye it in other colors than black, like dark brown, that would be even better, just to be on the safe side. Nada from Saudi Arabia is asking about the will. And she says that we know that Muslims have to write their will, and this is a sunnah, whether you're young or old, whether you're healthy or dying, you have to have a will, so that when you die, all of a sudden, your parents, your family, your loved ones would know what to do and what were your requests. So she's asking, who do I tell about this will? Because sometimes maybe if I write a will and I tell my parents, they are upset about it. Well, you don't have to tell those who will be upset. You can tell your siblings. All what you need is 2 witnesses, or to authenticate your will in a court of law, for example. So you can write a will and you go to a court of law and they authenticate it, saying that this is correct and this is the person who wrote the will. You can have 2 witnesses. Any witnesses would do the job, inshallah. Okay, we have Sister Fatima from Nigeria, and she's gone. Then Brother Ibrahim. Brother Ibrahim from Nigeria. It is definitely not Isha time in Nigeria. I don't know, maybe we've lost him. I hope he calls after the prayer is over. Sister Nada is asking about parents when they have an insurance policy over you, whether it's life insurance or educational insurance or whatever insurance they have. And she's asking what to do with such an insurance policy. What happens if I die? Should I tell them to destroy the money? You can send the money over to Huda TV, inshallah, and they'll make a benefit of it. First of all, seriously speaking, Insurance is not permissible in Islam. And unless it is cooperative insurance with a very strict set of conditions. Not anyone that says, I'm an Islamic insurance company, we are cooperative, so let's go with it. No, there are a number of strict conditions to ensure that these people are walking the talk and they're not just bluffing. Secondly, if your parents do this insurance policy without your approval, then you have no burden on that. You have no sin on that. So even if you write in the will that if I die, let the $1 million be spent on charity, give it to Huda TV, for example. Even if you write this, they are not compelled and they're not forced to do this because they're not going to listen to your will to begin with. The money is not yours. So what you should do now, as you are alive, alhamdulillah, you should advise them. And you should tell them to trust Allah and to put their confidence and reliance only on Allah Azza wa Jal and not on an insurance policy. Money comes and goes. But faith and iman and belief in Allah Azza wa Jal can be only granted to those whom Allah Azza wa Jal loves and to those whom Allah Azza wa Jal supports. Brother Muhammad from Egypt, he had 4 questions. The first question was regarding ash-shaf' wal-watr. He's asking, what should I do? Should I recite it loudly or silently? If you're in your home, it is recommended that you recite it a little bit loud so that you can hear yourself. And in a hadith, where the Prophet ﷺ passed by Abu Bakr's house, and he was praying night prayer in a silent voice. So he asked him, "Oh, Abu Bakr, what are you doing? Why is it so silent?" And Abu Bakr said, may Allah be pleased with him, "O Prophet of Allah, the one who I want him to hear me has already heard me. So by reciting it silently, Allah Azza wa Jal hears what I'm saying, so I don't have to raise my voice." And when he passed by Umar's house, Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, was reciting it in a loud voice. So he asked, "Umar, what are you doing?" And Umar, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "O Prophet of Allah, I kick Satan away and I wake those who are asleep. أوقظ الوسنان وأطرد الشيطان." So the Prophet said to Abu Bakr, "Oh Abu Bakr, raise a little bit, or Umar, go down a little bit." So the sunnah, the best way to do it is to recite while making yourself hear it. So many times you think that you know this surah by heart and you recite it every single day. سَبِّحِ اسْمَ رَبِّكَ الْأَعْلَى, for example. Every witr you recite it. The minute you go and try to lead the prayer with it, you make mistakes. Subhanallah. Why? Because you've never heard yourself reciting it. It's all the time just moving your lips and reciting it silently. Therefore, reciting the surah with a loud voice a little bit so that you can hear gives your night prayer a big boost and a great impact. The second question, he's asking about a person who prayed Maghrib, for example, with the congregation, but he only prayed 1 rak'ah. He missed the first 2. So when the Imam offers the taslim, he should go for his second and his third. Now he's saying, should I raise my voice or recite silently? We know that the first and second rak'ah of Maghrib, usually the sunnah is to recite it in a loud voice. So when he stands up for his second, basically, technically speaking, he should raise his voice. But because he's praying in the masjid, and to his right and left, and in front of him and behind him, people who are either praying their nafil prayer, or like him, completing and making up for the missed rak'ahs, or people who are doing their dhikr or reciting the Quran, by raising your voice, you would be distracting them. So the answer would be, recite it silently. His third question about the cycle of someone who missed a rak'ah or more, when he concludes his prayer and stands up to complete his prayer, someone else who's late comes and catches up. So is this permissible? The answer is yes. The difference in my intention being a follower into an imam has no effect on the validity of the salah. And this question was given to Al-Lajna al-Da'im al-Ifta, the permanent committee for Ifta in Saudi Arabia. And they said that even if it hypothetically continued on, so the first congregation is over, I stand up to continue my, or to make up for my missed rak'ahs. Someone else joins me, but he misses a rak'ah. So when I finish my congregation and offer salam, he stands up to pray his rak'ah, and someone else comes and catches up with him. So 3, 5, 6, 7 continuous jama'ah congregation. It's not jama'i, it is al-jama'ah congregation. This is permissible. Okay, we have Sister Suad from Saudi Arabia.
I'm Samina from Saudi Arabia.
Amina?
Yeah, Samina.
Okay. Yes, sister, what can I do for you?
Yeah, miss. Yeah, I have two questions. The first one is leaving one family at home and traveling for a job to earn one family living is permissible. And the second one is my son, whenever he prepares for his exams, he's forgetting it. He says he's forgetful. Whenever he enters the exam hall, he says he's forgetting everything. So I would like to know, like, what should I should guide him to for some dua, something. Please guide me, Sheikh.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Jazakallah.
Hawa from Nigeria. Okay, Sister Hawa is not with us anymore. Okay, we go on to Mumkin. We have brother, I forgot the name, from Nigeria, Muhammad from Egypt. His fourth question was regarding when standing up, and the sunnah is that I attach my foot to my right and to my left next, so that we would leave no gaps. And the Prophet used to say, straighten your rows, leave no gaps. And the companions used to stick their shoulders to their brothers, even their knees and their heels and their feet to their brothers next to them. This is the sunnah. However, it is not mandatory. And therefore, so many times before the salah starts, there are people who, when you come a little bit close to them, they go. So you come a little bit close and they go. And you end up by spreading your feet, your legs, as if you are stretching for a karate exercise or something like that. This is not permissible. You should concentrate and focus on trying to get the shoulders next to each other. And if you notice that your brother is evading you, he's trying to escape from sticking his foot to yours, leave him. Having said that, there are Muslims, there are brothers that I've prayed next to, who do not put their foot like this, who maybe put their nails next to your skin, to your foot. And not only that, throughout the prayer, he moves his toes. So as if he is digging in my meat. What are you doing? Some of the brothers have this nervous condition of just keeping moving and coughing, and this affects my prayer. No. If you're going to stick your foot to my foot, make sure that you do not move, you do not play with your toes, so that I would have my concentration as well. So if you find someone's running away from you, leave him to be. Sister, I think Amina, maybe the name was wrong, from Saudi Arabia. She's asking about expats who are in India, Pakistan, in Morocco, Egypt, in Europe, who come over to Saudi Arabia, to Kuwait, to the Gulf, to any country, looking for a job or to work, so that they can provide for their family who they leave behind. So she's saying, is this permissible in Islam? And the answer is, as long as the husband and the wife have mutual agreement and they understand what the scenario is, this is permissible. Because the wife knows that her husband is going for a year or so and then coming for a month, and she wants to improve and develop their standards of living. And this is permissible. But if there is fitna, meaning that the man cannot stay away from his woman for more than a couple of months, and then he will fall into sin. And this is what happens. He goes and he falls into sin. His traveling is forbidden. If there is a fitna on the woman, she says that I can't stay away from my man for more than 4 months or 5 months, and then shaitan is all over me. And I know that I'm going to fall into sin. Or she's in a dangerous place and she needs protection and there's no one to take care of her. In this case, traveling is not permissible. And she has to يعني evaluate the situation, and they have to reach a mutual understanding. The last question tonight is about her son who goes to the exams, and subhanallah, he comes back and says, the minute I enter the exam room, I forget everything. One of the two. Either your son is fooling you, he's not studying, he's concentrating on something else than studying. This is what I used to do when I was young. I used to open the book of the exams, and I have like Superman magazine inside, and my parents would see me, really interested. And the funny thing, when it's a comic magazine and I start laughing while reading geography, then they know that this is something fishy going on. So either he's playing you, he's fooling you, or seriously he has a problem. Usually these issues depend on conditioning. So if you say, oh, you poor thing, maybe you have to take you a doctor, to a psychiatrist, to do this, maybe you have jinn, maybe you have black magic, envy, whatever. No. The child will be convinced that there's something wrong. If you try to encourage him and say, no, let's revise it before you go. If you work with him and try to make him memorize the material before he goes, and you revise it to him, and he comes back and saying, oh, alhamdulillah, I only missed 20% or 30%, I still have a problem, encouraging him more and more, this would help, inshallah. So we don't usually refer to saying that he has a problem, you have to do ruqya. Is there any supplication, any dua, any ayah? Nothing. Specific on this issue, there's nothing. But there is a lot of general supplication, meaning all what you have to do is face the Qibla, raise your hands, praise Allah Azza wa Jal, offer salutation to the Prophet ﷺ, what you call Durood Sharif, and then ask Allah, oh Allah, make it easy on my son. Oh Allah, make my son memorize his material and do well in his exams. Oh Allah, cast away all the devils and the jinn that are distracting him, if there are any. All of this is general dua. You make a lot of dua in your own native language, and Allah Azza wa Jal would respond to you with His grace, subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have. Until we meet next time. Fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate